Alright, we are back. Got some food so I can go a little bit longer. Alright, you see an iron creature. Its size is staggering. If it stood full height, it would shatter the roof of the siege tower. Thundering echoes rattle the walkway as the creature hammers away on its forge, and the smell of soot and ash fills the air. Greetings.
Updated my journal.
There is the screaming of metal on metal as the giant man turns to face you. You suddenly realize the golem is built into the siege tower itself. Girders, pipes, and huge bracers run through its lower torso and into the walls. And the bottom portion of its body makes up the forge itself. What are you? I am iron given purpose. What purpose? I forge the implements by which the multiverse will be unmade. You mean forging weapons? That's your purpose? Metal is like flesh. Both carry potential in their veins. When tempered with heat and pressure, the potential surfaces. My purpose is to bring forth this potential. Allow it expression. Who do you make these weapons for? I forge them for the sake of entropy. They are pain, seeking expression. What does entropy need weapons for? Beyond this tower, order rallies its legions. The multiverse heals its wounds. In time, its strength may equal entropy. The multiverse is your enemy?
Journal.
Why? The multiverse breathes. It grows. It stagnates. It forges its chains around the planes, link by link. In time, even entropy may be chained. And you're opposed to chaining entropy? When a thing seals itself against its own destruction, it merely dies a different death. So you're saying immortality is just a different kind of death? Immortality is only a word. All that exists can die. So you could forge a weapon that would kill an immortal? Every living thing has a weapon against which it has no defense. Time, disease, iron, guilt. How do you know what weapon to use? One must know the enemy to forge such a weapon. How do I do that? Start with a fragment of the enemy, a drop of blood, a crystallized thought, one of its hopes. All of these things tell the way it can die. What if your enemy strikes from a distance, from shadows, never shows himself? Then that is the fragment of the enemy you must use. How? The actions of your enemy have told you much. Your enemy does not wish to engage you directly. That is a weakness. How do I exploit that? Confront your enemy directly. Take the battle to the enemy. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I want to see if I can still do those checks. Could you forge a weapon that would kill me? Yes. Really? How? I would need a drop of your blood. That is all. Very well. 10,000 experience, very nice. The tool of your destruction has been forged and educated. It is not enough.
Updated my journal.
The magics that keep your heart beating and mend your flesh are strong. You must sink the blade into your body only within a shell where you are cut off from the planes. Why? The reason is not known to me, yet both the weapon and the place are necessary for your destruction. Where would I find such a shell that separated me from the planes? That is not known to me. Who do you make these weapons for? Yeah, what makes that death worse than any other? All things have a common ground in decay. War is necessary. Death is necessary. Decay is necessary. These things are never necessary. To promote them and glorify the destruction. You promote them and glorify the destruction they cause is wrong. Actually, he might get mad at me if I say something like that. And how much of this is too much? There are no limits. Limits are one of the links in the chain of order. Limits must be shattered. Even if death is the result, all must fall upon Entropy's blade. The time nears when it will be necessary to breach the walls of creation. Order will be put to the sword. Its chains will be broken. The multiverse will be unmade. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna get a couple more things here. I don't need that. What if your enemy strikes from a distance? Okay. Or for some reason, it cannot engage me directly. That is an equal possibility. Either possibility reveals weakness. I didn't really. Anything else? Okay, I want to check the good option. Oops. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so why do you forge these weapons? The iron of my body once existed only as a minor expression of pain. Blades, spears, axes, arrowheads, rivets, and catapults. From these implements of war, I was wrought. What happens? What happened? These minor expressions of pain were melted to forge my body. My potential was allowed to surface. Now my purpose is to bring out the potential in other metals. You said that someone melted those weapons and forged your body. Who? Entropy raised me from the planar battlefields. Can you do anything with my weapons? Show me what you have brought. I will study its potential and see if its pain can be given expression. Deco -4. I think this is a -4 penalty, not a buff. Yeah. Awkward design makes it virtually ineffective in physical combat. It's basically a defensive item. For mages. Okay, what else do we have here? Spiked gauntlets of ogre power, only usable by fighters and thieves. Punch daggers are sure. And these look kind of different than what I expected him to have. I wonder if he gets different items later on. And I think some of these are from the mod. Okay, I want to check and see if these are better than what I already have. +3, +2 to all saving throws, and 35 resistance to magic. That seems quite nice. Blade of the Immortal, 2 to 3. +1 enchanted, +1 Thaco. Just a worse dagger at the moment. Okay, so these are enchanted +2. But they do greater overall damage.
I might as well.
And your will be done.
Good as done.
Characters are kind of running into each other there. Okay, let's cast Friends in case we want to buy something. Can you do anything with my weapons? I mean, I guess these would be nice to have if I was going to fight a Oh, it's gonna be fighting a mage. Probably not worth much anyway. Okay. He had quite a few different dialect trees you could go down, but I think we like went into different areas already, so I'm not sure if this is just gonna be repeating. What is this place? This tower is a siege engine. It exists to breach the walls between planes. Yeah, the siege tower can breach planes? How?
Updated my journal.
The tower anchors itself upon a plane. A wound is torn in the multiverse when the bridge of the tower opens. Legions may pass from one plane to another through the tower. When the plane has served entropy's purpose, the tower anchors itself again. What happens to the legion? What happened to the legions that you have used the tower? Entropy has unmade them. And what happened to the planes that the siege tower invaded? Same thing. Okay. Why do you remain here? The tower is trapped in the city. The city is a cage it cannot breach. How'd you get here in the first place? At one time, the tower laid siege to the plains. How I was brought here is not known to me. How I may escape is not known to me. Okay, what are you doing? Why do you make weapons? Same thing. Well, why do you do this? Who do you make the weapons for? Essentially, you need weapons for. Okay, we've already gone down this route. Except the death you seem to offer is violent and senseless without meaning. All things have a common ground in decay. Things are never necessary. No limits. Okay, already heard that. Okay. Check a couple more questions here. Can you tell me more of what you do with weapons? Metal is like flesh. Both carry potential in their veins. When tempered with heat and pressure, the potential surfaces. My purpose is to bring forth this potential. Allow it expression. Okay. And have you heard of a night hag named Ravel? The night hag sought to sunder the city. Her greatest works were those of unmaking. She walked the path of entropy. You know what happened to her?
Journal.
Order set chains about her. She was cast within a cage. You know where this cage is? Her prison is unknown to me. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I was about to ask how the heck I get out here, but like the portal reappears once we get down here. Okay, we can go check out the coffin maker before going to the Godsman area. And I may also want to rest up somewhere. Just to get back my friend spell. Also, maybe I should have 3 friend spells memorized. I seem to be running out of them relatively quickly.
It is I.
Okay, let's see what we can see around here. It's not clear if this is a tombstone or a headboard. This board contains various tools used in the art of coffin making. Same thing. Anything else we can look at here? Nope. Okay.
Endure.
There's some containers here. We might get in trouble opening them. But they don't appear to be locked, so maybe not. Okay, yeah. Didn't get in trouble. We can also try and pickpocket these guys. Oops.
Might as well.
Succeeded. Succeeded. Okay. Yeah, nothing super relevant for those guys. Alright.
I'm gone.
Yeah, let's talk to these guys. I don't know which one we're going to talk to first. Actually, you know what? What's my charisma at? 17? Okay, I probably can pass any charisma checks with 17. Yeah, just a second. Okay. Alright, let's talk to Dimtree first. You see a tall, slender man with a glassy-eyed expression. He seems engrossed in some tale that the shopkeeper is relating. Occasionally, he nods his head, but makes no comments of his own. Greetings. The man turns slightly at your greeting, just enough to acknowledge your presence. You notice that he is a little pale of complexion and rather gaunt-looking. He is giving you a blank stare. The shopkeeper does not seem to notice any of this and continues with a stream of useless prattle. Are you all right? The man continues to stare at you and slowly nods. You wait for any further response, but he says nothing, only stares. You're about to turn away in frustration when you think you notice a strange musty odor about the man. Step closer and sniff. You lean in and sniff at the man, unsure what you'll find. As you do, the musty odor fills your senses, an odor you recognize from your time in the mortuary. It's the smell of dead flesh, preserved by magic. You're a zombie, aren't you? The creature continues to stare at you blankly. Slowly, as if with great effort, he begins to reply to you. Only your speak with dead power makes him understandable. Yes, I am Dimtree. Why are you here, Dimtree? Dimtree slowly glances at the shopkeeper and makes a feeble gesture towards him. Seeing this as a sign of interest, the shopkeeper redoubles his efforts in telling you whatever tale he is relating to the poor creature. Dimtree looks at you again. Hamrys talks. Hamrys never stops. Wanders town, annoys Master, annoys everyone. Master create Dimtree, tells Dimtree talk Hamrys. Now Hamrys stay in shop. Master happy, unhappy. Dimtree sad. Anything I can do to help you? The creature pauses, then resumes his slow speech with you. You can almost detect a pleading tone in his voice. Yes, Master. Find Sebastian. Ask him release me. Please. He turns his attention to Hamrys momentarily. Please. Why don't I just put you out of your misery? Dimtree barely shakes his head at you. No. Master revive. Must ask Master Sebastian. Please. Okay, I'll see what I can do for you.
Updated my journal.
You can almost sense a feeling of relief emanating from the zombie. Dimtree, thank you, friend. Some questions. The creature gives you a barely perceptible shrug of the shoulders. No, nothing. Dimtree summoned by Master. No darkness, peace, rest, then Hamrys. Sorry. Help you, if could. Do you know where I can find Sebastian? The creature pauses. Not no. Remember voice, give order be here. Walking, Hamrys. Nothing more. Sorry. Okay, we already know where Sebastian is. So we can go pester him shortly. Okay, you see a rugged-looking, square-jawed man. He turns to you with a wide smile. How are you, Cutter? Good day to you. Good day indeed. He squints at you for a second, then juts his hand out to shake yours. Greetings. Hamrys, at your service. Member of the Harmonian and the fashioner of fine coffins for the recently departed. I think I know you, do I not? Let me see if I can place it. He pauses to think for a moment. Sharp with names. I was in the Harmonian, let me tell you. Knew everyone on the entire ward. I have some questions. He nods at you. Ask away. He gives you a broad smile. Who's your friend here? He glances at the customer. Dimtree? He shrugs, like he hadn't considered the fellow before. Quiet. Doesn't say much, do you, Dimtree? Dimtree doesn't respond, but simply gives the same blank expression. A few seconds later, he nods. Henry shrugs, then turns back to you. Wandered in one day a few days back. Been a regular ever since. Hasn't bought anything, but he doesn't cause any trouble, so I let him stay. Seems harmless enough. You see, when I was serving the harmonium, part of our work was to take people under our wing, give them a little shelter from the chaos of the streets, get them spruced up. You do know he's a zombie, right? He frowns, glances at Dimtree, then back at you. What nonsense are you rattling on about? Dimtree's no zombie. Sure, he may be quiet and doesn't move much, but he's just a good listener. Look, he's a zombie. Touching him. Amrys looks at you in shock. What in Harmonian's name are you? You cuff Dimtree on the skull. Hard. He doesn't even blink. Amrys turns red and starts bellowing. You've gone too far. I won't have you striking my customers. I'm placing you under arrest by the authority of Harmonian. He stops and stares in wonder as Dimtree fails to react. He's a zombie, Amrys. Amrys stares at Dimtree in confusion. I wonder how he died. You seem to get the feeling that Henry's just isn't getting it. Just the other day, he seemed quite lively. He humps, for once at loss for words. Well, it looks like old Dimtree will need a coffin. Good thing he ended up here. Thing is, what kind of coffin should... Looks like he's about to begin a lecture. Can you tell me about this ward? Yes, the lower ward. He leans forward, as if explaining something to a small child. You know, it's little known to most newcomers and even people in the ward. Most people think that this ward gets its name simply because it's not as prestigious as some of the other wards. But that's not it at all. Not at all. Do you know where the names come from? He looks at you expectantly. From all the lower plane portals? He nods, though he seems a little disappointed that you know. Yes, indeed, these portals to the lower planes are actually the reason for the smog in the skies here. He glances upward as if imagining a sky above your heads. But I'm sure you are already aware of the conditions that plague this ward. Okay, what if I say... I don't know. It's because of the portals to the lower planes. They are the reason behind all the smog that fills the area, belching out noxious gases and all. Fortunately, winds from the spire help to blow away the worst of the mists, but it can bring others in the ward with much weaker constitutions down and fill them with sickness. He shakes his head sadly. Fortunately, my harmonium training has prepared me for all sorts of hazardous conditions, and after my travels to the lower planes, the smog of this ward is little to bear indeed. What's there to see in the ward? He smiles broadly. A great deal. Where to start? If we were to step past all the kilns, forges, breweries, and distilleries scattered amongst the many garbage fires, not to mention the alchemist dens, the crematoriums, meat curing houses, and the charcoal burners, and examine the ward itself as a whole, one could say, well, there's the foundry, the siege tower, and... He begins to falter and stops to think. Tell me about the foundry. The Great Foundry is the headquarters for the Believers of the Source, also known to some laymen as Godsmen, because of their belief that everyone could achieve divinity. He shakes his head. The Great Foundry is much like their philosophy, a large sprawling structure that seems to produce nothing but smoke. He laughs. I mean, when was the last time you saw one of the Believers of the Source suddenly become a power? Not any time in the faction's history. Tell me about the Godsmen. Actually, friend... Godsmen is the layman's term for their faction. The real name of their organization is, in actuality, the Believers of the Source. They hold to an interesting, if ultimately flawed, philosophy. They believe that everyone has the capability of aspiring to divine status simply by applying themselves. He shakes his head indulgently as he pauses to think. Go on. As my tour of duty with the Harmonian quickly proved, there are many who could never aspire to divinity, no matter how long they sought it or applied themselves. He scoffs. Nonetheless, the Believers of the Source work quite hard. He shrugs. and their little faction is pleasant enough. Maybe about the siege tower. That scarred iron wreck? A ward mystery it is, but I have some thoughts on it. First off, it wasn't always there. As I understand it, it simply arrived one night, and no one saw how it got there. Now you've seen the outside of it? It's seen battle, and it looks like battles that most people could not imagine. Me, however, I've seen the edges of the Blood War, even tackled a Tanari fiend or two, when things were desperate, with only my Harmonian fellows beside me. And those scars on the tower look like they were gathered over several centuries at least. He pauses for a moment. Now listen close. My experience allows me to recognize some of those scars that decorate the sides of the tower. Some are acidic blasts, surely enough from some major sorceries. Some are Tanaric teething blades. Others look like detonations from Loth globes, or scars from Bayatsu Cornugan whips. However, a lot of the weapons embedded in the sides are weapons like none I've ever seen. And I'm well versed in a variety of weapons on many different worlds and on many different planes. Makes you wonder what's held in the inside of that tower. Basher who cracks that tower might have a museum in their hands. Makes you curious, doesn't it? Stares at you. Okay, I have to take a step away for just a second. I'll be right back. We were in the middle of a conversation with Hammers, who talks a lot. Okay. I wanted to, hold on, there was a way here where I could get him to talk about the other factions. Yeah, here we go. Can you tell me about some of the other factions? He smiles at you, eager to talk. Why, certainly, friend. I can tell you a little bit about the Harmonian, the Mercy Killers, or the Governors. Which should I start with? The Governors. He nods knowingly. The Fraternity of Order is their proper faction name. They are dedicated to law and knowledge. They spend most of their time simply researching every aspect of law. Now, I'm not just talking about man-made laws. No, their search goes much deeper. They want to know how. They want to know the how and why behind everything. Because of their devotion to law, they run the courts of sigil and act as lawyers, judges, advocates, and such. Okay, what about the Harmonians? He stands proudly. The primary faction of sigil is, of course, the Harmonian. We are the faction dedicated to preserving law and order in sigil, and there is no other more important function. Progress can only be achieved in a state of peace and harmony. There are those that think otherwise, but they don't have our resolve, and thus they shall fail. Okay, what about the Mercy Killers? He smiles. Mercy Killers stand for justice. To them, justice is everything. It is absolute and perfect. They dedicate their lives to dispensing justice, but it must be done correctly, according to the law. They firmly believe that by imposing justice on the multiverse, it can be cleansed of evil and made perfect. Hey, can you tell me about Sigil? Sigil. He lets out a long breath. Sigil is the city at the center of all things. For so many believe, it is a city of doors. There are literally thousands of portals here. It is home to the Lady of Pain herself. He shrugs. Sigil is a topic that can fill volumes, and volumes of volumes. Tell me of the Lady of Pain. The Lady of Pain? Hammers leans in and drops his voice slightly. One of the multiverse's greatest mysteries. Everyone will agree. I think she's proved beyond doubt shadow that females are the most dangerous creatures in the universe. Multiverse. He sighs. Some say she's a goddess, a power that's made Sigil her home. Truth is, she breaks the laws of every power I encountered. Powers need worshippers, gives them their power, but the lady doesn't like to be worshipped. People who do end up in her shadow, her flesh torn apart by invisible blades. Now I've seen some horrible things in my life, things that would make another man's knees go weak and make him lose control of his vitals. Doesn't even compare to seeing one of the lady's victims. Interesting. What else can you tell me? Next is, she don't take to people who try to play God and Sigil. See? You may not know this, but first off, no powers can enter Sigil. Not Zeus, not Ra, no one. Word is the lady's presence somehow keeps them out. Can't get in. Not a one. And that twists their stems like you wouldn't believe. Sigil's such a sweet fruit that anyone would want to pluck. That the other powers are always looking for some way into Sigil. They haven't succeeded. Well, it goes beyond that. Not only does the lady keep him out, she keeps anybody inside the city from harming it. Certainly she has help from our faction, the Harmonium, since we like order. But every once in a while, a foolish basher takes it into their head to start fighting on the streets of the city. Maybe decide to kill a few Davis, brew up some chaos, or start casting mass destruction spells. Not a good thing. Makes the lady upset. Doesn't like to see her city hurt. She'll kill you, or maze you, for doing such. Maze you? You haven't heard of the mazes? He looks at you condescendingly. You are green. The lady's got extra dimensional prisons she can place special offenders in. You see, she takes little bits of Sigil, shapes them into mazes, then cuts them off from Sigil. You'll be walking home one night or be stepping through an archway near your home, and suddenly everything changes. You won't be in the place you remember. You'll be trapped. Chant is that there is one way to get out of each maze, but you'll be dead and gone before you tumble into the dark at how to escape. You mentioned portals. Do you know of any? He laughs. Portals? Do I know about portals? He pauses. Well, none personally, except some of the more common ones. I imagine they can be found in practically every ward. Portals are funny things. Sometimes they shift around. At other times, they simply seem to vanish. They are hard to keep track of. He shrugs. Okay. Can ask him about his father? I hear your father died. Can you tell me what happened? He frowns at you. Well, he disappeared some time ago, so I can only assume he's dead. Where did you hear this? Don't recall. Do you say he disappeared? He nods. Oh yes, many, many years ago. My father was a talented stonemason, and he did not only construct sarcophagi, but he was also quite skilled in tomb design. People from across Sigil... The room begins to fade around you as a memory tugs at your consciousness.
Updated my journal.
You find yourself standing in this very shop, talking with an older man while a child sits in the corner and plays. On the counter between you, the shopkeeper has a set of plans. He seems to be explaining some intricacies with the construction of a tomb. Your vision fades as you try to examine the details of the plans. When your sight returns, you are standing in a cavern in front of the tomb. Above the entry, you see a slogan, "Engineered for Eternity," clearly carved in stone. The shopkeeper is standing next to you, a broad smile on his face. He gestures to you and begins to walk into the tomb. You quickly match his pace from behind and draw your blade. You find yourself back in Hamry's shop. He's looking at you with some concern. Are you well, sir? Tell me what happened to your father. He simply vanished one day, leaving most of his commissions unfinished. Most embarrassing. Took a long while to get out of the debt caused by his disappearance. And to an extent, I am still settling various accounts. Still, I have a certain aptitude for the work, and... He sighs lightly and gets a faraway look in his eyes. 1 second. Okay. Go on. He shrugs. Sorry, I was just thinking. My father's disappearance was the reason I joined the Harmonium, and then left it later on. At first, I had a burning desire to find out what happened to him. Later, I felt a certain obligation to continue his life's work. He sighs. I never found the answers I sought. It was quite the mystery as to what happened. His voice fades to silence. Did your father keep any of the plans for the tombs he built? He thinks for a moment. Yes, he did. After I came of age and inherited the business, I went through all of his records. They were quite extensive. Why do you ask? If I were to describe a tomb to you, could you tell me if it was your father's work? He frowns and shrugs. I can but try. My harmonium training has blessed me with a sharp memory. I should be able to recognize my father's work if you give me enough details. He looks at you expectantly. Describe the tomb from your memory. He thinks for some time. There's little doubt that the tomb you describe is my father's work. The slogan you mentioned has been the family trademark for several generations. He pauses and gives you a strange look. This tomb, where is it located? Describe it. You describe the location in detail, surprising yourself with the knowledge you have of the area. Hamries watches you with a concerned look. Odd. I don't recall anything in the family records that would even have permitted him to construct a tomb there. The dustmen are very careful about the building rights in real estate, especially beneath the streets of Sigil. You recognize the location? He nods enthusiastically. Oh yes, sounds like the Drowned Nation catacombs to me. He pauses. I've never been there myself, but I've heard the area described many a time in my years in the Harmonium. I need to know if your father kept the plans for that tomb. Yes, the warehouse where I store my goods handles my business documents as well. Anyway, they are having internal problems of a sort. New management or some such nonsense. I haven't been able to replenish my stock of late, and I doubt I could retrieve any paperwork from them either. He frowns. The Harmonium can never let things get so out of hand as to cause distress to its customers. His voice fades away as he thinks and then looks at you. Perhaps you would look into the matter for you? For me? The warehouse? Yes, the warehouse is having some internal problems of sort, whatever that means. I can't get any stock from them until the matter is cleared up. Okay, I guess I don't have a choice if I want the plans. I'll do it.
Updated my journal.
He smiles broadly. Excellent. If you deal with this issue satisfactorily, you may have your plans for free. He gets that lecture look on his face again. That may not seem like sufficient payment, but let me tell you about the difficulty involved in creating those plans. No thank you. I'll get started on this right away. Farewell.
To wake up from the dead in a place like this. All right.
Okay. Let's go check the warehouse again. It's interesting that people were like talking about the warehouse having issues, but then we just seem to need to know about something and we can get it from there.
Done.
Like to claim something. Plans for a tomb. Plans for a tomb? You don't look dead, sir. Not that it's any of my business if you are. Here are your plans, sir. Can I get you anything else? Yeah, these are the plans of a custom-made tomb, stenciled probably across the top edge of the words. Engineered for eternity. Like, I'm surprised I didn't have to, solve a quest to, deal with the new management or whatever. The plans would make more sense if you were in the tomb itself. You could then make direct comparisons between the plans and how they were implemented. Okay, I wonder if... I'm assuming he will still let me have them, but let's check. This strange building appears to be a coffin maker's shop. The signs about the door has the slogan "Engineered for Eternity" clearly written upon it. Good day again, Cutter. Did you get the plans you were looking for? Yes, I've dealt with the situation at the warehouse and got the team plans.
Updated my journal.
He smiles and nods. Well done, Cutter. As I said, you may keep what you recover from the warehouse as your reward. Thank you for your help. Okay,
I'm gone.
let's go talk to Sebastian and see if we can free the zombie dude who's been tortured to death by Hamry's long speeches. Actually, I want to talk to you about Dimtree. He stares at you for a moment, then sighs. What about Dimtree, Cutter? He just wants to be released from his curse. He gives you a surprised look, then waves you off. I find that hard to believe, Cutter. Dimtree doesn't have the mental power to desire anything. He frowns for a moment. Did that idiot Hamrys put you up to this? Think about it, Sebastian. Hammer's doesn't know Dimitri is a zombie, let alone who created him, right? He sighs and seems to be deep in thought. Yes, you're right, of course. Hammer's could not have sent you. I guess poor Dimitri is more aware than I intended. A pox on me for my stupidity. So will you release him? He throws a look at you for a moment, with conflicting emotions crossing his face. He sighs and throws his arms up in exasperation. I cannot, sorry. He gives you a pleading look. I want to, mind you, but I cannot. I fulfilled a contract by creating Dimitri, and I cannot break it, right or wrong. I am a man of my word. My reputation demands it. Could I release him instead? That would be difficult. He turns and begins to look through a nearby box. After a moment, he removes a book which sets down in front of you. First, you'd have to have some magical aptitude. Second, you'd have to be able to properly speak the words you find on page 23 of this book. Last, you'd have to touch Dimitri just as you feel the power of words culminate within you. He turns his back on you and rummages through another box. I couldn't allow you to read the book, however. It'd be tantamount to breaking my word through the actions of another. He continues, poking through the box, ignoring you.
Updated my journal.
Read the book and leave. Okay. I want to just double check and make sure didn't miss some experience in the way that I approached that. Oops. Damn it, I just did the exact same thing.
Updated my journal.
Who contracted you? Maybe I can get him to release you. He smiles. I am magically bound not to reveal such information, Cutter. That is why people come to me. They know that if I accept a contract, it will be handled with discretion. Okay.
Updated my journal.
Alright, let's go back
I'm
to Coffin Maker. I think I can get to the crypts through here. Let me see. Dimitri. You find a master? Dimitri release? Yes, Dimitri, I know how to release you now. He turns to face and gestures toward you. Please, friend. Speak the words Sebastian taught you. You pause to gather your thoughts and then carefully speak the words Sebastian taught you. You then reach out and touch Dimitri lightly on the forehead.
Updated my journal.
Rest well. With a sigh, the zombie collapses at your feet. You think you hear a fleeting, "Thank you, friend," as he falls to the ground. Hammer's doesn't seem too upset by it.
I'm gone.
I'm gonna talk to Sebastian real quick. And then I wonder if I can quick travel to okay, nothing there. Okay, I wonder if I can quick travel to the Drowned Nations from here. Not really. Okay, let's get there through Lothar's house then. I think that'll be faster than going the other way. I'm gonna run upstairs real quick, see if Lothar's up here. Oh, he is up here, okay.
Aye?
I wonder if I can pickpocket from Lothar. Oh no, he has no items.
Done.
Alright. Get down to the Weeping Stone Catacombs.
Alright.
I wonder if any enemies are gonna show up here. I can probably just run past them if they do. Alright, and
I'm gone.
Where are the drowned nations? Are they through here? Yep. Okay, and then
Done.
go all the way down here to the crypt. Gotta travel a fair distance to get here. Alright. And let's save. Then go in here and we'll leave our companions behind, I believe, when we're in here. Okay, and then check the tomb plans. The plans reveal the tomb to be heavily trapped, but the exact locations have been omitted. However, you see an annotation along one side that indicates an especially lethal trap was installed in each room. Scrawled along the bottom is a note written by another hand. It looks like your handwriting. Read the note. The trap is set. Now I need only wait for my tormentor to step within its walls. However, it occurs to me that I need a way to get the corpse out without having to negotiate the traps myself. An enchantment, perhaps, that somehow transports the corpse back to the beginning.
Done.
I wonder if that's all just like a hint, essentially, for what we already like knew. Also, oops, I came in here when someone else had the keys in the bag, so I could possibly be soft locked in here. I'm not sure. The way that that's currently set up. But hold on, let's okay. Alright, I think this is a good stopping point. The next thing we'll do is go into the foundry with the godsman. It's a good place to stop before the next ad break, though.